problem? We need help, please.
In all seriousness, okay, jokes apart, we are not as smart as we think we are in this country. I mean, I'm talking about some dumb fuck zombie heads walking around this nation thinking they know everything. Please explain to me, how can anyone morally justify the possibility of a felon sitting in the Oval Office as president of this glorious nation when a felon cannot even vote? And yet, I'm gonna just have to accept, okay, we all have to accept, that smart white man wrote our Constitution.
We need help, please.
In all seriousness, okay, jokes apart, we are not as smart as we think we are in this country. I mean, I'm talking about some dumb fuck zombie heads walking around this nation thinking they know everything. Please explain to me, how can anyone morally justify the possibility of a felon sitting in the Oval Office as president of this glorious nation when a felon cannot even vote? And yet, I'm gonna just have to accept, okay, we all have to accept, that smart white man wrote our Constitution.
All right. We are here tonight, okay, waiting for Kamala Harris and Trump to debate each other as we've all been waiting for. Woohoo! So tonight's the night anyway, and we are waiting to link up with ABC in these pre-planned debates. A lot of things have been going on in the news cycle, as far as we're concerned. So, there will be almost similar things to what we saw earlier on in the first debate with Trump and Biden. Now, all right, the two are now coming in
Kamala Harris.
almost at the same time.
Good debate.
See, have fun.
Thank you.
What's the delay, though?
Welcome to
You
you
know, they
both.
should
It's
be
wonderful to
meeting in the
have you. It's an
meeting.
honor to have you both here tonight.
You see
Good
him hold
evening. We are
back
looking
like
forward
he
to
has
a
to come,
spirited and thoughtful
you
debate.
know,
So
come
let's get
him
started.
all the way.
I want to begin tonight with the issue that voters repeatedly say is their number one issue, and that is the economy and the cost of living in this country. Vice President Harris, you and President Trump were elected 4 years ago, and your opponent on the stage here tonight often asks his supporters, are you better off than you were 4 years ago?
You
When
said,
it comes to the economy,
I really
do you
wish they
believe
don't ask this
Americans are better
question.
off than they were 4 years ago?
It's completely
So
stupid.
I was raised as a middle class kid.
Are you better off?
And I am actually the only person on this stage who has a plan that is about lifting up the middle class and working people of America. I believe in the ambition, the aspirations, the dreams of the American people. And that is why I imagine and have actually a plan to build what I call an opportunity economy. Because here's the thing. We know that we have a shortage of homes and housing, and the cost of housing is too expensive for far too many people. We know that young families need support to raise their children, and I intend on extending a tax cut for those families of $6,000, which is the largest child tax credit that we have given in a long time, so that those young families can afford to buy a crib, buy a car seat, buy clothes for their children. My passion, one of them, is small businesses. My mother raised my sister and me, but there was a woman who helped raise us. We call her our second mother. She was a small business owner. I love our small businesses. My plan is to give a $50,000 tax deduction to start up small businesses, knowing they are part of the backbone of America's economy. My opponent, on the other hand, his plan is to do what he has done before, which is to provide a tax cut for billionaires and big corporations, which will result in $5 trillion to America's deficit. My opponent has a plan that I call the Trump's sales tax, which would be a 20% tax on everyday goods that you rely on to get through the month. Economists have said that Trump sales tax would actually result for middle class families in about $4,000 more a year because of his policies and his ideas about what should be the backs of middle class people paying for tax cuts for billionaires.
President Trump, I'll give you 2 minutes.
First of all, I have no sales tax. That's an incorrect statement. She knows that. We're doing tariffs on other countries. Other countries are going to finally, after
Tariff is
75
even
years,
worse.
pay us back for all that we've done for the world. And the
Tariff
tariff will be
is worse.
substantial
I
in
don't know
some
what you're talking
cases. I
about.
took in billions and billions of dollars, as you know, from China. In fact, they never took the tariff off because there was so much money they can't. It would totally destroy everything that they've set out to do. They're taking
Tariff
in
is
billions
worse
of
than
dollars from
sales
China
tax.
and other places. They've left the tariffs on. When I had tariffs, and yet I had no inflation. Look, we've had a terrible economy because inflation which is really known as a country buster. It breaks up countries. We have inflation like very few people have ever seen before, probably the worst in our nation's history. We were at 21%, but that's being generous because many things are 50, 60, 70, and 80% higher than they were just a few years ago. This has been a disaster for people, for the middle class, but for every class. On top of that, we have millions of people pouring into our country from prisons and jails, from mental institutions and insane asylums, and they're coming in and they're taking jobs that are occupied right now by African Americans and Hispanics, and also
What?
unions. Unions are going to be affected very soon. And you see what's happening. You see what's happening with towns throughout the United States. You look at Springfield, Ohio. You look at Aurora in Colorado. They are taking over the towns. They're taking over buildings. They're going in violently. These are the people that she and Biden led into our country, and they're destroying our country. They're dangerous. They're at the highest level of criminality.
And here he
And
goes
we have to
again
get
with the
them out.
black
We have to get
jobs.
them out fast. I created one of the
Really?
greatest economies in the history of our country. I'll do it again and even better.
We are going to get to immigration and border security during this debate, but I would like to let Vice President Harris respond on the economy here.
Well, I
Please
would love
do.
to. Let's talk about what Donald Trump left us. Donald Trump left us the worst unemployment since the Great Depression.
Please tell
Donald
him.
Trump left us the worst public health epidemic in a century.
Please
Donald
tell
Trump
him.
left us the worst attack on our democracy since the Civil War.
Please tell
And
him.
what we have done is clean up Donald Trump's mess. What we have
Unbelievable.
done and what I intend to do is build on what we know are the aspirations and the hopes of the American people. But I'm going to tell you all in this debate tonight, you're going to hear from the same old tired playbook, a bunch of lies, grievances, and name calling. What you're going to hear tonight is a detailed and dangerous plan called Project 2025 that the former president intends on implementing if he were elected again. I believe very strongly that the American people want a president who understands the importance of bringing us together, knowing we have so much more in common than what separates us. And I pledge to you to be a president for all Americans.
President Trump will give you a minute here to respond.
Number one, I have nothing to do, as you know, and as she knows better than anyone, I have nothing to do with Project 2025. That's out there. I haven't read it. I don't want to read it purposely. I'm not going to read it. This was a group of people that got together. They came up with some ideas, I guess some good, some bad, but it makes no difference. I have nothing to do. Everybody knows I'm an open book. Everybody knows what I'm going to do. Cut taxes very substantially and create a great economy.
Yeah, just
like
so
I
you
did
know, that's a
before.
bold-faced
We had
lie
the
about
greatest
the
economy. We got
2025
hit with a
project.
pandemic. And the pandemic was not since 1917, where 100 million people died. Has there been anything like it? We did a phenomenal job with the pandemic. We handed them over a country where the economy and where the stock market was higher than it was before the pandemic came in. Nobody's ever seen anything like it. We made ventilators for the entire world. We got gowns, we got masks, we did things that nobody thought possible. And people give me credit for rebuilding the military. They give me credit for a lot of things, but not enough credit for the great job we did with the pandemic. But the only jobs they got were bounce back jobs. These were jobs bounce back, and it bounced back and it went to their benefit.
Oh,
But I was
God.
the one that created them. They know it, and so does everybody else.
Vice President Harris, I'll let you respond.
So
See,
Donald
I don't
Trump has no
understand the
plan for
reason
you.
why they keep
And
asking
when
this
you
question
look at
about
his
4 years
economic
ago.
plan, it's all
As
about
if
tax breaks for the
Americans
richest
are
people.
suffering
I
from
am
some
offering
kind of,
what I describe as an
dementia
opportunity
or
economy, and the best economists in
I
our
don't
country, if
get
not
it.
the world,
That particular
have
question.
reviewed our relative
Are you
plans for the
fair off
future of
or are you
America.
better off
What
than
Goldman
4 years
Sachs
ago?
has said
Are you kidding
is
me?
that Donald Trump's plan would make the economy worse. Mine would strengthen the economy. What the Wharton School has said is Donald Trump's plan would actually explode the deficit. 16 Nobel laureates have described his economic plan as something that would increase inflation and by the middle of next year would invite a recession. You just have to look at where we are and where we stand on the issues. And I'd invite you to know that Donald Trump actually has no plan for you because he is more interested in defending himself than he is in looking out for you.
It's just a soundbite. They gave her that to say. Look, I went to the Wharton School of Finance, and many of those professors, the top professors, think my plan is a brilliant plan. It's a great plan. It's a plan that's going to bring up our worth, our value.